Well, hello everybody. As you may or may not know, Plumbing Solutions is a new construction primarily company. We do new installs on new houses, residential houses, new builds. And I get asked some questions a lot by our installers. We install brand new products, and a lot of times they get sand and stuff like that just from construction, sometimes sawdust, sometimes wood chips. And some of the guys were asking, can you take these things apart? And yes, you can. You can take these things pretty much all the way down to the last little nut and bolt. So I'm going to do a couple series of videos here kind of showcasing some of these faucets. In this video, I'm going to start with the Peerless kitchen faucet, which is one of the ones that we use a lot. It's kind of a builder grade, one of the lower end faucets. It's still a good faucet. Peerless is a sister company of Delta, so a lot of Delta technology is in the Peerless. So like I said, in this video we're going to start with this kitchen faucet. I'm going to kind of do a little unboxing, show you what you get in the box, and then we're going to take it apart and put it back together. Okay, so let's take a look, see what you get in the box here. I highly recommend when you buy a faucet or anything like this, get one that's still got the straps or it's still wrapped in plastic. That way you know that nobody's ever been in this box. That way there's not anything missing. This is the way it came from the factory with the straps on it. Sometimes, like I said, they're wrapped in plastic. Sometimes they have straps and they're wrapped in plastic. But let's go ahead and get rid of these straps. Now it's no longer branded. Alright, let's see how this works out for us. Okay, first thing they're going to give you here is your instruction booklet. If you've never done one of these before, take a look at this instruction booklet. If you've done a bunch of kitchen faucets but you haven't done this one, you might want to look at this install guide. It's really simple. There's not a whole lot to it. It'll tell you how to put this thing together. So you get that. We're going to have our sprayer. This is what they call a vegetable sprayer. Some people call it side sprayer or whatever, but its real name is vegetable sprayer. And it is in its package with its hose, all nice and pretty. And then what else we got? This right here is the holder for your vegetable sprayer. This is going to go in the hole and the sprayer will go in there. This little doodad, we'll get to this later. This is the little connecting piece. This is how you're going to hook your sprayer to the bottom of this faucet. And you push these little buttons in and you can take it on and off if you ever have to work on it. And then wrapped in plastic here is the actual faucet itself. Now, unlike a lavatory faucet, you don't get any kind of drain pieces. You have to get those separate. If you pop this thing up, you see it's held onto the cardboard with what they call these basin nuts. These are little plastic basin nuts. And you'll take those off. And when I'm doing this, normally I chunk these into the cabinet underneath where I'm going to be working. So we'll take the nuts off, put those to the side, take out your faucet, and that's pretty much what you're going to get in the box. It's all ready to go for you. Back in the day, these handles were separate and we had to put the handles on. So that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and open this. Little twisty ties here. It's got a little twisty tie with a little plastic thing on it here to hold your little O-rings in place. And this has a cap with some O-rings. There is a little bit of grease on this stuff, so watch out for that. This basically snaps into here, and then this is going to snap into there. And that was how you would hook your sprayer up. So if you ever think anything's wrong with your sprayer, you can take this apart by pushing these little pieces in and pop it out. So that's a pretty neat deal. All these faucets are going to have a grommet or a little plastic plate thing. This is what's going to seal and keep the water and the moisture out from going down into your cabinet. Now, a lot of times on new construction, we actually put a little bit of caulk around this and pretty much glue it to the countertop, especially with granite. These things tend to like to leak when you're dealing with granite. Anything that comes in contact with the water is going to be lead-free brass. Some of them have a plastic sleeve on the inside of it. These are brown, black, sometimes they're brown. And I just noticed that's neat. They changed this. They added a little foam piece to that rubber grommet or plastic grommet. That's going to help you out in the long run too. And you can see there's the body. It's not too much going on there. So when these things get clogged, where do they clog up? Right here a lot of times. This is what they call an aerator. Now, what does the aerator do? This basically is going to add air bubbles to your stream of water. Now, why do we want to do that? Well, for one, it's so you can hear it. For two, it's so you can see the water. Because remember, water is odorless, tasteless, colorless. There you go. It's clear. By putting air bubbles into the water stream, you can see it, and it makes that traditional roaring, rushing sound. Without this, you're just going to get a stream of water shooting out, kind of weird. But a lot of times, this is where your dirt, sand, and stuff gets clogged, is right here around this screen. Underneath that screen, you can actually pop this off. You might need a pair of pliers. And you can actually get a hold of this and give it a squeeze. And that will completely pop apart. This little green doodad here is actually a water saver. It's restricting the flow. So if you want to get more water pressure out of one of these guys, you can take that little green thing out and you'll increase the pressure, the flow rate. And this, of course, can snap right back together. You might have to get a little nozzle cleaner or a paper clip or something and clean the little holes and jets out on this thing. This is a big item when it comes to warranty as far as getting clogged and getting sand and stuff in it. But this is part of the faucet. So moving right along, this piece here actually unscrews. You can get your hands on it, unscrew it, and then pull it off. Now, if this faucet had water in it, this is going to be full of water. So when you go to pull that off, remember, it's going to dump water on you. One of the tricks I do is I'll put my thumb over that when I pop it off. That way it holds the vacuum there and the water won't come out. And of course, there's a sink right there in front of you, so you can pull it out, let go of it, water will dump into the sink. So that's the neck part. This little washer did go in there, just so you know. The next thing you've got here, and I have this little special thing. It's a little credit card bottle opener. It's a piece of metal. Somebody gave it to me for my birthday, like I don't know, 20-something years ago, and I've had it ever since. You can use a knife blade or something other to take this next piece out. This next piece is one that also gives us a lot of problems when you're dealing with sand. This is your diverter valve. This is what, when you hit the sprayer, shuts the flow down to this. Your diverter valve is not working properly if you're using your sprayer and you still got water coming out of your spout. It's supposed to completely turn the water off to the spout. So you might have to pop this thing out. Now, if you put a pair of pliers on this thing, you can tear it up. It's just a little piece of plastic, but it's got those 4 little slots. So if you get something like this, you can put it down in there and give it a little turn. It's pretty neat. An Allen wrench will work too. You can get an Allen wrench down in there. But you just want to put equal pressure on the slots there to get this out. And it unscrews, and there's some little O-rings on it, and there's a little valve in here. you get this out, you can kind of tap it on something. It gets sand normally up in this little hole, but here again you can take something like this or a knife and you can push and pry on that. Sometimes, and I don't really have anything long enough here. Hold on. Go find you a nail or something, or a long screwdriver, and you can kind of poke that and it should easily move back and forth. I take these apart a lot of times and you can actually see the grains of sand caught up in this little diverter valve. That's pretty much the big main workings of it. Now after that you do have your handles, and there are valve cartridges in here. Now most of your Peerless stuff, you're going to want to get your fingernail under here and pop these things off. Let me make sure, because it's not wanting to work for me. Alright, now I kind of feel kind of stupid. This would stump me for a little bit. The old Peerless, you could snap these little caps off, but on this one they've changed it and it actually works more like some of your higher end Delta. It took me a second to figure it out, but you unscrew these little collars. They do this a lot on their fancier stuff, and that just unscrews and then pops right off, and same on the other side. I'm so embarrassed. But there you go, that's how you take the handles off. And these cartridges are labeled with some kind of tag. You see that red clip right there? That's telling you that's the hot side. Yeah, and I'm facing it. It's facing towards you. The next thing you see here, and always remember how that handle was turned. It was actually in the off position. So the off position is like that. You're going to have the flat sides facing this way. Now, there's a little nut right here. We like to call this the bonnet nut. You're going to need your pliers again. And grab that and turn the little bonnet nut. Little bonnet nut comes off and your valve cartridge should just come on out of there. I think this is really neat because Peerless did change some things. The older one that I was thinking of actually had plastic shanks on this little valve cartridge. This one is brass, so that's a lot better, kind of an upgrade from the old Peerless. A lot of your Delta stuff is going to be a brass shank. And then there's your cartridge. This one, they've got the, you can take these guys apart here too. I don't know if you can see this. It has these ceramic pieces in here. Most of your Delta stuff is going to have springs and seats. There's a little cap with a little spring. Peerless had that for a long time, but it looks like they've gone for the ceramic stuff. It used to be called like an attrition valve because the little ceramic pieces were designed to wear out with each other, and it was supposed to last for a very long time with those fine machined ceramic pieces sliding back and forth on each other. And you should be able to, probably going to have to take this little red clip off of here. You're probably not going to have to go this far with your faucet, but you should be able to pop that out, and there you see your two little ceramic pieces that are going to slide back and forth on each other and actually make that valve open and close. And there's not much to that. There is little pins in here that are going to line up in a certain direction, so you can put it back together, and there you see the closed and then of course the open. And there are knots and stuff on here, so this goes back in a certain way. And now that I've messed with it, there we go. Take your washer thing, put it back in there. This one over here should be blue or white. And that little clip goes back on there. Well, we're doing this live, so I lost the little red pieces over there. I have to go get it. I'm not going to do much editing to this one, so y'all can laugh right along with me here. 2 little knots, 2 little bumps. You can put this back in here. But yeah, just so you know, that's pretty much it. It's just hollow now. If you keep going here with your bonnet nuts, and I'm sure these might have a different name. We've always just called them bonnet nuts. Like a little hat that goes on top of something. This plate will actually come off. And it's not much to that. But that's basically all the way down to all the parts you can take off. And by this time, if you haven't found your sand or your problem yet, you might want to go ahead and get you a different faucet. This piece will actually come off here as well, but I don't see why you would ever need to do that. So let's put us back together, make sure our Peerless nameplate is facing the right way. This is our cold over here. Screw that down. Put our valve back in. Snap it in. Screw our bonnet nut back down. Put our handles back on. When you put the handle back on, before you screw it down, make sure it's going to function like that. Don't have it coming back this way. It means you got the handles on the wrong side. Screw that back in. Screw that back in. And you have your diverter. It screws back in here like this. Like I said, I've got my little credit card thing here, which is metal, that has helped me out, but you can take a little Allen wrench and use that to tighten it up. And then of course, this is going to drop back down in here. It does have 2 O-rings there, so watch those. You don't want them to get twisted, and it does have kind of this little compression furl thing there. And it is kind of greasy. It's got some factory stuff on it. We've got our aerator that goes back on here. This is labeled with a front, so you know which is the front, and I've actually got this facing, toward y'all. So, and then this piece can go back on, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Now, let's go ahead and do the sprayer too while we're talking about it. This is a hose. This actually comes off of here as well. You might be having problems with your sprayer here. And you can't really take this apart, but there is a piece in here that you can take apart, and I don't have everything I need. I apologize. For not having all the right tools here. Alright, I gotta go to the truck and get me a pair of needle nose pliers so I can finish taking this little doodad out of here. Alright, I'm back. Had to run to the truck. Every now and again you might have to do that. So I got me a little simple little old pair of needle nose pliers. I've had these for years and years and years. They used to be my grandfather's. This is kind of one of the relics that's in my toolbox. So, in there is a little nut and a spring deal. I don't know if you can see down in there or not. But take your needle nose, and you're just going to kind of use this like a key. Drop it down in there on that nut. Now, if you're a homeowner and you got a bad diverter or bad sprayer here, you might want to just go get a new sprayer. You can get just the sprayer handle. But there's a little nut. It's got a little retainer thing there. It's got a nice spring. It is tapered, beveled at one end. So remember how that came out. And you can push down on the handle, and the rest of it should fall out of there. There it is. You might have sand or junk up under this that's not allowing it to work right, and that handle's going to fall off of there now. You might, this might get stuck. You might have to put some of that little faucet grease. It comes in a little tin, sometimes a little tube. You can put some of that on there, and then push this back up in its little hole, and put your spring back in there. And then this is going to be kind of tricky because you got to line it up with the post on the bottom of that sprayer thing. Be careful when doing this. You don't want to cross thread this little plastic thing. And screw it back together. If it's too hard, if it's too tight screwing it back together, stop what you're doing, back it up. But there you go, it's snug in there now. Like I said, you can't really take that out, but you can blow some water through this backwards. Toothpick, paper clip, something small, poke those little jets out. But that's it. I believe that's our whole kit. This is just a hose. Watch the little O-rings. There is a washer here that seals up on this. And there you have it. That is how to completely take apart and put back together a Peerless chrome kitchen faucet. The new style, like I said, the older style had little caps with the H and the C. You would pop those off, and then there's actually a Phillips head screw in there that you could get in there and take that Phillips head screw out. But that's it.